My name is Hyla Crane, and I'm the Executive Director here at the Marco Island Center for the Arts. We haven't seen you for a while because we've been very busy here, but we are thrilled to be back with you today to talk with one of the artists from the exhibition that is in our gallery now that'll be with us through June. It is our Earth Day exhibition, and so that you know, this exhibition was actually scheduled for May of 2020. And these artists have waited 2 full years in order for this exhibition to come to fruition. There are 5 artists in the exhibition. There's Deborah Martin, Gloria Spinozzi, Judy Chinsky, Judy Becker, and the artist we have here today with us, Karen Swanker. Hi, Karen, how are you?
I'm good, Hyla. Thanks so much for having me on here today.
Oh, well, I'm so glad that you could join us. Now, Karen, right off the bat, I want to talk about what is sort of an incredible display of your work in this exhibition. It is something that I don't believe in my 8+ years at the Art Center I've seen another artist do. You have actually created something that I believe you said it's 30 feet in length.
Right.
It is 13 panels that make up this vision. We did bring one of the 13 panels that I put behind me, but can you talk to us a little bit about what your inspiration was for this and why you decided to undertake what must have been a tremendous amount of work? It's really, it is, when you come into the gallery, it's massive and somewhat awe-inspiring, I think. So tell us a little bit about how you came up with the idea, how you created the piece, because we want people to come down and see it for themselves.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, there are 13 panels. They are 30 inches by 40 inches each, and they stretch on the longest wall of the gallery. I think it comes out to a little over 30 feet. And what inspired me was I was lucky enough to be able to vacation in Paris for a bit. And there's a gallery there in the Musée L'Orange that houses Monet's. There's 2 rooms, actually, that house Monet's water lilies. And they're in a complete circle in the room, in each room. So I thought that would be a challenging way to create a nice long panel. And each of the panels I designed to be able to stand alone. So if anyone is interested, they could buy one panel from each section, or 2 or 3 together, and they will all tie in. The water runs continuously from one panel to the other. And it is 30 feet long. It would be a great spot for a lobby or inside of an office if needed, but it is still possible to break up each panel. They were stored in my closet, like Hyla said, for just about 2 years, which was kind of a good thing, because when I finally took them out and I was able to set them around the room, I could look at them with a fresh eye and see maybe where things needed a little more light, a little more breaking up of some solid spaces, maybe adding a little color interest in each one. So it was good to have them put away for a little bit, but it was fun to get them out and hang them on the wall and really step back and see how impactful the whole thing was.
Well, it's incredible. I have 2 questions.
Okay.
The first is, I know people can purchase them as an individual piece, or 2 or 3. When you talked about the water moving through the entire 13 images, would it make more sense to purchase 2 or 3 that are set up, that are contiguous in the exhibition?
Yes.
Or could people, yes, that's my question.
Yes.
You would pick and choose across
They're
the board.
They're numbered on the back, 1 through 13.
Okay.
So maybe 2, 3, and 4 would be a nice set. 8, 9, 10 would work together. And the first panel is actually tied into the 13th panel. So that can be switched over too to form another set.
Oh, I didn't realize.
So it'll work that way as well.
Again, it's hard to describe to somebody. You really need to come in and see it because it is quite massive. You really need to stand back in the gallery to take it all in. How long did it take you to complete this project, Karen?
That's one of the first questions that everybody asked me. How long did it take you to do this? And I would say, probably 6 months, a couple months. And that was off and on. I work on some and then give a little rest, maybe turn them around. So I would look at them with a fresh eye again when they were facing out again. So, and then also doing little researches on the internet too, and different ideas. I added some dragonflies, some little frogs, some bugs, and that was fun to add them last minute too.
They are beautiful, and you're right. Those little additions add sort of, those details add some whimsy along with just the beautiful, rich colors, and it's engaging and sort of takes you into the piece itself. It's just lovely. I mean, you talked about what you had seen, but what was it about this? You know, when we put forward the concept about Earth Day, you know, I believe actually you were probably requested to sort of bring this sort of work, because I know you've done other pieces, though nothing quite this large. What did it? Oh, I'm sorry.
2 years ago, that's right. I was really doing a lot of water lily paintings 2 years ago. And so this was kind of like a culmination of all the other paintings that I had done. And of course, then I went on to found objects after that too. I kind of put the painting aside and tried a different medium. But certainly the paintings that I saw in Paris were the biggest influence.
Well, it is beautiful. And as I said, the exhibition is called Earth Day. And part of the reason it was selected was back in 2020, it was the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, which of course takes place in April, and it was the Art Center's 50th anniversary, so we wanted to sort of lift both celebrations up together, and the fact that really raising awareness about environmental concerns and people being a good steward of the earth, which of course is very important to all of us. But Karen, I want to talk to you a little bit about who you are as an artist and your training and how you started in this field and how you have evolved and where you are now, sort of your artistic journey. So how did it all start?
Begin? Oh gosh, I think it was even back when I was a small child. Always interested in drawing and painting and creating ever since I was very little. And a friend of my mother's was over visiting our house one time around Easter. And I was dyeing eggs and painting on them and drawing on them. And she said, "You are going to be quite the artist someday." And I had to be about 3 or 4 years old. So it did my, I guess, talents, I guess, or interest, I guess would be a better word, started at an early age. And of course, then in high school, there was the art club, and I actually won a scholarship to Moore College of Art in Philadelphia to go to Saturday classes. And they were very interesting because every Saturday was a different medium. There was painting and sculpture and a little bit of clay work. And then after high school, I was accepted in Philadelphia. It's called Hushin. Like if you substituted the H, it would be Russian, but it was Hushin School of Art at the time. And it was for commercial advertising and illustration. So that was kind of the serious side of art, where you could actually make a living on what you were studied to do. And So I did that till after high school, and then of course got married. We had little kids, and we moved to the Pocono Mountains in Pennsylvania. And there was a little group of shops there, Blueberry Hill shops, and I rented a little shop, and Jim and I had a retail craft supply store.
Oh.
So we had everything from macrame, sand art, beading, little pom-pom projects for the kids, flower making, and towards the end, dollhouse supplies. And of course, paints and brushes and things. And we taught classes there. And then when I was 45, I went back to college to finish my degree in art, and actually got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in art. And at that time, computer graphics were just coming into their own. Apple was really developing their computers. And that was my second major, was graphic arts on the computer. And that led me to get a job at a poster company. And I did advertise. It was Trent Graphics, and they went to colleges all across the United States, setting up poster sales for the students at the beginning of the year. So I did the advertising that went to the school newspapers, the flyers, the postcards that the salespeople handed out. So we usually had about 72 trucks on the road, and when the company went to about 600 colleges and universities across the United States. So kept me pretty busy. I was used to crazy deadlines at that point. And then from I lost my train of thought.
Well, so we've gone there, and you're working in this commercial setting. How did
Right.
you ultimately get from that period of time to finding your way down here to Marco Island?
That's right. We moved down here in 2004, and when we retired, as most people, that's a good time to start what you really like to do, painting, sculpture, something in the arts. And of course, I joined the Marco Island Foundation for the Arts.
Of which you are now president, if I'm not incorrect.
Yes. And things just continue from there. It's been a nice transition from, well, I still create art, but then now it's more supporting the arts, making sure that new artists coming up have a chance for them to come and display their works. Because a very fine artist of mine said, and I relate that to artists too, if you wait until you think you're good enough to exhibit your work, you're never going to be good enough. So you just have to jump in now. Your art will grow the more you do it. So you should not be shy of thinking that it's not good enough to show. If it's there and you have the urge, just go ahead and do it. Plus, take courses at the Marco Island Center for the Arts,
where you are also an instructor. And I know that for the last couple of years you have been teaching a class in quilling. Can you tell us what quilling is?
Paper quilling, going back to the time when we had the craft shop in the Poconos. Paper quilling was one of the first crafts that we carried. And for the 11 years that we had the business, we always had quilling in some form, papers and kits and things. And quilling actually began in the 15th century, began in the churches, and the nuns would curl paper around a feather quill pen to decorate the pages or the Bibles or the artifacts in the church. So that's how it got its name of quilling.
Oh, okay.
So it's helpful to say paper quilling because a lot of people think we're talking about quilting. Okay. So to add paper before. So we've had a couple classes at the Center for the Arts, and everyone goes away with 2 nice projects, and we get them on their way, get them started, because once you learn the basics, and see how to curl and shape the paper, then it's pretty easy to follow just about any pattern. So yeah.
They do. They look very detailed, though. I know when I've stepped into some of the classes, it looks like you probably need a little bit of patience when you're working on it. Is that a fair assessment?
You do. It's tiny work, and it's best to work in a quiet time or put some music on that's very peaceful and restful. But if you like to knit or crochet, do that close work with your fingers, then quilling is not so difficult.
Well, the pieces that have been made are just beautiful, and I would strongly encourage my friends out there when the new catalog comes out for the Marco Island Center for the Arts, our 2022-23 education catalog, which is in the works right now as we speak, that you consider taking one of Karen's classes because they look marvelous.
Right.
And I agree with you that supporting young artists and helping people launch on their way as artists is one of the most rewarding things we all can do. I know here at the Art Center, we just finished up our countywide Collier virtual digital art show and competition that there is a video on our YouTube page, and it's so exciting to see the work that these high schoolers are creating. And I know this summer we have filled all of our programs for our children's summer art workshops, which are for children 5 to 13. We have a waiting list. We are so thrilled that we're going to have so many young budding artists with us. But I've come to realize, especially here on Marco, we can have an emerging artist who's in their 20s, but we can also have an emerging artist who's in their 60s.
Yes, true. Very true. My friend Carolyn Berger really did not start to paint until she retired here on the island, and her work has grown and developed, and her paintings are just wonderful.
They are, and I've seen her take different classes and seen that evolution, especially when she started to explore abstracts. There were some really interesting changes, and yes, I think her work is just lovely. I have to tell you, Karen, I appreciate your words of wisdom about not waiting till you think you've got it perfect, but just having the confidence to put your work out there. I would share with you that I actually have a piece that is going to be in a show on June 4th. It's a very funny exhibition called Flip the Switch, which is going to be at H&R Studios on Radio Road in Naples. And the two artists who run that studio, the husband and wife pair of Lauren Redding and Brett Harvey, invited people who work behind the scenes in the arts to put artwork in this show. Although when I looked at some of the other people who are submitting work, I've seen their artwork other places. So yes, they may be behind the scenes, but they certainly are more experienced than this artist.
Right. And that's another fear too with emerging artists too, when they try to compare their work to other artists. Well, I tell them those other artists started out with the basics as well. And by attending classes and growing their work, you develop better and better with each canvas that you do.
Well,
with the children's classes too, I love to see the kids because they have no fear. They're always ready to jump right in. And actually, of course, they have access to more research than we did with the internet and everything. They can just Google just about anything, which we did not have starting out too. So yes, to see some of the young kids, the high schoolers work too, just fabulous.
It really is. Now, Karen, I always sort of wrap up with this question, although actually, before we wrap up, you talked about your husband, Jim, and I happen to know that he is about to receive a very important honor soon. Marco Island Foundation for the Arts accepts nominations for their Artist of the Year, and it's my understanding that Jim Swanker is going to be the 2022 Artist of the Year. All of his contributions to the Marco Players with set design for how many years? 10 years? More than 10 years.
No, I think at least 15.
Yeah. And he also is very important to us here at the Marco Island Center for the Arts, and that he has become part of the team when exhibitions come in that serve the curatorial function of hanging our shows, and we are really grateful to him for that. So that is a very exciting honor for him, and we just want to take a moment and congratulate him.
I will pass that on to him. It was two of the members from the board from the foundation came to our house under the guise of having to ask Jim a question about a household project. So it was quite a surprise when they came in. And I have to say, my husband is usually very chatty, and he was just overwhelmed, taken aback, and just, I don't know if there's words for it. I never saw him at a loss for words before until they came and told him. So it was very exciting. And they kept a secret from me. I did not know either until they came in the front door. So,
well,
it was special.
It is an award that is well deserved, and we wanted to pass that along. But Karen, just out of curiosity, obviously you've had so many stages of your life working in the arts in a commercial way, now working as a fine artist. Who or what has been a major influence on you in your career as an artist?
Oh, gosh. Well, of course, with the water lily painting, everyone turns to Monet. And studying art history has been really helpful. The found objects that I also work on, Louise Nevelson, was a huge influence, quite a character. And I've seen a lot of her work up in Naples at Artists. The museum up there has quite a few of her pieces. So I would say those two, Monet for the paintings and Louise Nevelson for creating with found objects.
And we didn't even talk about the found objects, but those pieces are also quite extraordinary, very detailed, and I know I have purchased some to give as gifts because they are just beautiful. And in fact, because it's recycled work, those pieces could have been in the show as much as the water lilies could have. So there you go. But I want to thank you, Karen, for joining us today. I really hope that everybody out there is going to come on down to the Marco Island Center for the Arts at 1010 Winterberry Drive here on beautiful Marco Island. We're open from 9 to 4 daily, and come and see our Earth Day exhibition. And to complement that exhibition, we actually we started a series with speakers. We've already had one. We had Tyler Wood, who is the Director of ESG and Sustainability at Gravitas Infinitum, who came and talked to us about new ways to deal with trash. But the next two speakers we have coming are both going to deal with issues pertaining to water. And for my friends out there, especially those of us, because Marco Island is an island, we are all living surrounded by water here in Collier County. I do hope you might consider coming and joining us on May 31st at 5:30. We're going to have Dr. Steve Davis, who is the Chief Science Officer for the Everglades Foundation, who's going to be speaking about Everglades restoration and water under threat. So Everglades being water coming through the middle of the state and flowing out should be very interesting. That is at 5:30 on May 31st. And then our final speaker is going to be Dr. Mike Savarese, who is a professor at WGCU. And he was one of the researchers who developed the Acune model, which is used to track sea level rise. So he'll be talking about sea level rise and what that means in our future. And that's going to be June 16th. Both start at 5:30. There is no cost. and we are happy to offer you a complimentary glass of wine when you come. These are informal presentations, and there will be a chance for discussion afterwards. So come on down, check out the exhibition, and join us for one of our talks. You can go on our website, www.marcoislandart.org, and you can RSVP for the event right there. Well, Karen, I want to thank you so much. Our Earth Day exhibition is going to be with us through June. We will be switching out our La Petite gallery, and Annie Bacon, whose work is there right now, which is so fun. I mean, her work is just charming and whimsical, and talking about taking things and recycling them and repurposing them and creating them into something else. She will be coming out, and the artist coming in for June is Mara Darrow, and she is coming in with some extraordinary photography. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be printed all on metal so that the colors are so vibrant. These are nature photographs, and I encourage you to come down and check that out. Stop by on the second Tuesday of the month. Hopefully our artists will be here and you can say hello to them, and we will welcome you. Karen, again, always a pleasure. You're such a leader here in the arts community of Marco Island, and such an important member, not just to Marco Island Foundation for the Arts, but also to the Marco Island Center for the Arts family, where everybody out there knows when you step over our threshold, you become part of our family, and we try every day in every way to be your art home. Keep an eye out. We'll be interviewing some more artists. Bye-bye now.
Thank you, Hyla. Bye.